So we just announced the release of the V3 Python SDK for Deepgram. It was literally just published 39 minutes ago. You can see right here. So the main README has been updated significantly to reflect all of the changes that have gone throughout the repo and in this release. The big things to note are like the walkthroughs and the number of examples in the repo. There are examples for multiple different use cases for live audio transcription, for management APIs, for pre-recorded audio transcription. You can find them all here, and you can find the release on the right-hand side here. If you go ahead and click releases and then the V3, you can see all of the changes that went into this particular release. There's a lot of features that have been implemented in this release, which I'm going to have to catch up on some documentation to expose some of the cool things that are available. One of the major themes in this release is supporting both threaded or synchronous classes and functions, and also the async await method. So definitely take a look at if you're interested in some of these features. It's gone through quite a significant overhaul from the version 2, even things as simple as logging levels. So now you can add a significant amount of tracing. So if you have any problems out there in the community, hopefully you don't, but should you do, there's a verbosity logging level that you can even enable to help you debug and troubleshoot that goes simple as, just informational messages all the way down to like buffer exchanges and things in like the live client, for example. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that I kind of want to highlight in this release. And one of the biggest things is definitely the examples. The Go SDK also had a similar release. They actually had a V1 release just a couple weeks ago. And in that spirit, I also put in a lot of examples into the repo itself. So you can access those examples right off the root of the repo. You can go into examples, and then if you did an ls, you can find that there are examples for streaming, pre-recorded, and for management API. So if we take a look at like one of the pre-recorded examples, you have the example to upload a file to the Deepgram and also to just post a URL to the Deepgram platforms where there's an audio file backed behind that URL. One thing to note is that most of the examples in the repo now are using the threaded or sync version. The reason that is there gives you greater control of how you can manage the IO input and how that gets pushed to the Deepgram server. If you are like the older way of doing async and await using that kind of threading methodology, you'll still find examples in those in the pre-recorded, in the live stream, and also in the management API. There's just going to be a fewer amount of them because the Python SDK effectively is pushing and consuming a lot of IO and a lot of data. So having the ability to manage the threads and how that information and data is being pushed to the Deepgram server, it's better that you have more control over that. So if we go into the URL example, and to run these examples, I have the Deepgram API key already in my environment variables. And should you choose to do that, running the examples is pretty easy. So it's just literally Python main py for every one of the examples. So actually, let me go ahead and clear this. So this literally takes a URL that gets posted to the Deepgram platform, and this is the transcription that you get in the response of what's actually being said in that particular audio file at the URL. So now if we take a look at a live stream example, go down a couple folders and go into streaming. We have a couple of examples. One is taking an HTTP broadcast and pushing it to the Deepgram platform. And then we also have another example is just using the local microphone on your laptop to pick up any kind of audio that's being spoken in your microphone, and then we're pushing that microphone stream to the Deepgram. So if we wanted to run the microphone example, again, it's just easy python main.py. And it's pretty simple to run this particular example. And there's a couple of other things just to demonstrate like some of the capabilities of this example. So yeah, this example is obviously taking the microphone input and streaming it to the Deepgram platform. There's a couple of little artifacts here that kind of in the code show you how to extend the functionality and be able to manipulate some of the information that you may or may not need. In the example, which you can actually take a look at in Visual Studio Code, you have your main function, create the Deepgram client, instantiate a live client, and here are basically the message hooks that you need, and then also hooking up the Deepgram events to those message hooks. So you can get transcription messages, metadata, and errors. Then you get the live options. You start the WebSocket connection. You instantiate a microphone. You hook the send function from the client, from the WebSocket client, to the microphone, and you literally just start the microphone. The microphone data just gets picked up and then pushed out to the Deepgram platform. It's finally, if we take a look at one of the management APIs as an example, we can just go ahead and do an ls, go up a couple directories, go to manage, clear this out, just to make it a little friendlier. You basically have CRUD operations for balances, invitations, keys, members, projects, scopes, and usage. And if we just do something simple as exercising all the CRUD operations for invitations, again, running the examples very, very simple. You just do python main.py, and we just list projects, and there are no invites. Send an invite, grab all the invites, and then delete the invite. And that just goes through all the CRUD operations for a particular subset of the management APIs, in this case, invitations. All the examples are in the examples folder off the root of the repo. Definitely encourage you to take a look at them. They're pretty complete. We're always going to evolve them and have better examples and more examples. So yeah, feedback is always welcome. Thanks for watching.